Hello you guys, welcome back to Lighthouse family. I hope you guys are doing well today. If you are new here, I am Dejanae. If you want to see more of me, more of our content on our channel, make sure you like and comment and subscribe. Today we're just going to jump straight into what I'm talking about. Today is going to be a little different. It's a testimony. It's a testimony on how the devil gave me a counterfeit before I met my husband. So we're just going to jump straight into the story first of the counterfeit. So I moved back in my mind for a season of my life, and I met this guy, and this guy was telling me all the things I wanted to hear. How we can build a future together, how we can have children, how we can get cars, how we could just develop our life and have stability, because I was ready to move out of my mom's house. So he came and he began to tell me all these lies that I began to believe this guy, because it was everything that I wanted to have a future in. I wanted children, I wanted stability, I wanted cars, I wanted a house, and I wanted a partner to have that with. I didn't want to be alone. I wanted to have that with someone. So when he came into my life, he told me all those things, and they sounded so good and true, and I believed those things. So eventually the guy began to move in with me after maybe a week, because he had a situation. So I mentioned that I'm living with my mom at this time, but he began to move in. But as he moved in, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't look up for a job. He doesn't do these things that he was telling me he was doing. He was just laying around doing nothing while I was just working. And I'm asking him, like, are you going to do anything? And he just came up with all these excuses. So in my mind, I began to think, like, okay, I don't want to pressure him because I don't know his situation. So as time went along, he just began not to do anything. So I began to believe, are you telling me lies at this point? Because what you was telling me a couple weeks ago, it ain't matching up what you're doing right now. So then as time went along, time went along, and somehow he disappeared. He left one night and he never came back the next day. Mentioned that we was friends on Facebook, so I would see him post on Facebook, do statuses or whatever. So I'm like, is he just ignoring me? What is the problem? But somehow he just disappeared. He left all his clothes, all his paperwork, all his information. I'm just like, what happened? Are we still in a relationship? Are we still kind of going on? But me not knowing at the time, it was God removing him from my life because my husband was actually coming. I did not know it at the time. I really wasn't following God the way I do now. So I didn't know how God worked at the time. So he removed him out of my life in a blink of an eye, and I never seen that guy again. But I fell for the lies because the enemy knew that God was finna bless me with someone, but I just didn't know. So he tried to put someone in front of me so I can't see what God is doing at the time. But one thing about God, he's going to remove those counterfeits fast. So he removed him, and then like a week, maybe 2 weeks later, I end up meeting my husband. And it's crazy because my husband actually kept his word on what he was telling me. Having children, keeping stability, doing the things, having a home, getting cars, or just getting things to prepare our life for the future. He kept his word on that. And I didn't know at the time that was my actual husband to be to this day. So I knew this was my ordained spouse that God gave me because he had the spirit within him. Everything he said came true. We began to have stability. We began to have children. We began to have these things that he told me. His word was true compared to the counterfeit that was in front of me. And like I said at the time, I didn't know that's how God works. And to this day we have children. We are in a stability place. We are a loving marriage. Everything he said came true. That's how I knew that this was my ordained spouse. Why the devil sends a counterfeit is to distract you from the real thing that God is sending. It's crazy because this happened in almost a 2-week span. I met that guy that week. I ended up meeting my husband the next week. So the devil really tried to push this guy in front of me so I don't see what God is actually doing. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. God is stronger than the devil. If God said this is going to happen, the devil can't do nothing to what God is finna do. So like I said, he pushed the guy in front of me literally and tried to blind me for what God was actually doing. But when it was time for me to meet my husband, he left in a blink of an eye. God removed him, and I never seen him again. One thing I want to mention, part of this story that caused me to fall into the trap, was that my low self-esteem that I had. At the time, I was very ashamed of being a dark-skinned woman. I didn't want to be a dark skin. I wanted to be a light skin or white woman. And at the time, the guy that he pushed in front of me was actually lighter than me. He was a light-skinned guy. And my desires of having a light-skinned guy actually made me fall even deeper into the trap. So sometimes that desire of your ordained spouse could be a counterfeit. The thing that we have to understand is that God is not going to give us what we desire. Sometimes He's going to give us what we need and what is good for His purpose. I didn't expect my ordained spouse to be dark-skinned. It's crazy because that wasn't a desire that I had, but it was a desire that I needed because that's what was good for me. Excuse me. So sometimes you have to make sure that list you have is not the list, because God is not going to always go by that list, because the list is what something you want, something that you desire, a tall guy, a short guy, a chubby guy, or whatever the case your list might be. And you might miss your ordained spouse because of that list you created. So tear that list up and get rid of it, because God knows the perfect spouse that you need. But make sure you don't fall into the counterfeit of the enemy's hand based on your desires or your low self-esteem or something you really want. When I did meet my ordained spouse, I had to move with him earlier than what I thought. A situation happened in my life and I had to move in. Check out the similarities, how I had to move in compared to how the guy had to move in with me, right? And I was asking questions because at this time I never moved with a guy before. The guys always came to me. So that's how I figured things was different, because I actually never moved in with the guy, but the guys always moved in with me. So as time went along, I began to ask people. And honestly, be careful by asking people about your ordained spouse, because the enemy could be working through them. So at the time, they was choosing the counterfeit over my ordained spouse that God was giving me. So they was choosing him. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go move in with him, and all these negativity thoughts. And I had to shut them out, because I'm like, at this point, this is what I'm finna do. I felt comfortable. I felt at peace of making this decision, and once I made it, it actually was a good decision, because that's where God wanted me to be. So be careful about talking to people about your ordained spouse or going to advice, because it could be the enemy working through them to push you out of that place, because the enemy don't want you to have love. He wants you to stay in the darkness. The counterfeit is full of lies. I'm going to reread in John chapter 8:44. For you are the children of your father, the devil, and you love to do evil things he does. He was a murderer from the beginning. He has always hated the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, it's consistent with his character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. So the counterfeit is the father of lies. It's the enemy working through that person, the counterfeit that it is. Like I said, the story, like my counterfeit, that he was full of lies. Nothing he said came to pass. Everything was just lies from the beginning to end. And when I met my ordained spouse, everything was true. Everything was true for what he said and what he did. He actually acted on what he said he was doing. So make sure you be careful, because them counterfeits will come if you do not see it. The enemy will approach you with something, and sometimes this approach is by your desires of your ordained spouse. So like I said at the beginning, make sure you rip up that list, because your ordained spouse might be something you did not imagine, and it's something that is good for you and something that is good for God's purpose that he has for you guys. But the counterfeit is full of lies. He's going to lie from top to bottom. It's going to sound so good, though. It's going to fulfill that desire, that thing you've been wanting. But it's all lies that he's telling you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys got to the end of this video. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. And just be careful with those counterfeits, like I said before, because your ordained spouse is going to turn out to be something different, but also something amazing. I've been married to my husband for about 6 to 7 years now. We got 4 beautiful children, and our life is what it was supposed to be before the counterfeit came. But the enemy tried to stop this process by putting a counterfeit in front of me, and it was something that wasn't going to be good for me at the end. So I see you guys soon, and I see you guys in the next video.